This can just go in your light iron or steel pile. But this here, you're definitely gonna want to take off with a pipe wrench and break down. Now that we have this off, we're gonna want to break it down so we maximize our money and scrap.
First, we're gonna get rid of this stuff that's worth essentially nothing, which is these hose clamps and this PVC pipe. You can use a flathead screwdriver or a nut driver. We'll take these off. And now we're gonna take a razor blade to cut it. After you get a few good cuts with the razor on it, you can get a screwdriver and pry it off here. Most people aren't going to be interested in the knob either, which is usually aluminum or steel. Once the nut or screw is off, it'll usually just shake and pull off. But if it doesn't, you might have to cut it off in order to get this into brass. Everything left on here is brass and copper for the most part and has good scrap value. You could just turn it into the scrap yard like this, but you'll definitely get less money. I'm going to show you how to break this down completely to maximize your scrap value when you go. I'm going to start off by cutting this brass fitting off of this copper pipe. Loppers are another effective way to cut copper pipe up to about 1 inch. Just take that, put it around, give it a little pressure, and it'll snap right off. That's a quick and easy way to turn this into #1 copper. This threaded on copper pipe has this brass nut on it, so in order to separate the copper from the brass, we're gonna have to cut this off. Now we have a piece of brass and #2 copper. Next, we're just gonna take a pipe wrench and start unthreading everything. The last 2 fittings we took off aren't actually pure brass. This actually has a steel spring inside of it that has to be taken out in order to have this count as brass. And this here has a screw at the bottom of it with a rubber grommet. Scrapyards might accept this one as pure brass without having to do anything, but they won't do that with this one because of the steel spring. These pressure relief valves have a screw top on them, but there are other pressure relief valves that don't. If you have this style, check out my other video that shows how to scrap pressure relief valves. To get the steel spring out of here, there's a top on here that unscrews. So we're going to use our pipe wrench and just favor the top here so we can get this loosened up. Now that it's loosened up, we're able to spin it off. Now when you look at the top here, there's a flathead screw here we have to take out. Now that this is unscrewed and removed, the spring should just fall out. If it doesn't, you can take a screwdriver or something through the back here and punch it out. This here is a piece of #2 copper. Now at any point that you just can't get enough pressure in to break it loose, you can always get a longer pipe that can slide over top of the pipe wrench. The longer the pipe, the more leverage you have, which the more pressure it'll put on it to break it loose. You slide that over top of your pipe wrench, and it can usually get even the hardest things loose. Now we're left with these pieces. Most scrapyards pay more for red brass than yellow brass, so if that's the case with yours, you're going to want to separate these as well. With all these different colors and shades of brass, it can be difficult to tell what's red brass and what's yellow brass. So check out my how to scrap brass video. I'll explain everything and show you how to figure out which pieces are red brass and which pieces are yellow brass, as well as which attachments and things can be left on it and inside of it to still get clean brass price. If you do have different types of brass you can make more money on, then it's worth throwing it back in the vise and stripping it off. Here's everything taken apart and separated. We have a piece of #1 copper with no solder or attachments. We have 2 pieces of #2 copper which can have solder on it but no attachments, as well as some stainless steel, a pile of red brass, and a pile of yellow brass. And that's how you can maximize your scrap value and make the most money when scrapping these brass tees. If this helped you out at all, please let me know in the comments and like this video. It would really mean a lot. Thanks for watching.